Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, and this is Real Crime Uncovered. There's this popular saying in Nigeria that "I dey come, no be address." So it just goes to show that no matter how grown you are, you should never become too big to have an accountability partner. It could be a spouse, it could be your sibling, it could be your parent, it could be your friend. Whoever that person is, just make sure you've got an accountability partner, someone you're not afraid to tell details of whom you're meeting with, where you're going to, as much as disclosing the phone number of whom you're meeting with, disclosing the address of whom you're going to see. Today's story is about a 26 years old University of Uyo graduate who went missing on the 29th of April 2021 in Uyo, Akwa Ibom State. Before we delve into the story of today, I want to quickly give a shout out to two of our loyal viewers, one on Facebook and the other on YouTube. The shout out for Facebook goes to Mr. Daguna Falano. I'm sorry if I didn't pronounce his name very well, but this is us saying thank you, sir. Thank you for always watching our videos. Thank you for engaging on our videos. We really appreciate you, and we hope that you will continue to engage on more of our content as we post them. And then our YouTube shout out goes to no other but Queen Eve Atta. Thank you so much, Queen Eve. We are so grateful. Thank you for always watching our videos, for engaging on our videos. We do not take your love for granted. Thank you for watching this small channel, for encouraging us to do more and uncover more crime stories in our society. We hope you continue to watch our videos, engage, and also share our contents for many people to get to see these crime stories that we uncover in our society. So thank you, Queen Eve Atta. Thank you, Dagoma Falano. We appreciate you both. We say thank you. So now let's delve into the story of today. On the 27th of April 2021, a young graduate of the University of Uyo at the time made a tweet on her Twitter handle. And that tweet, she stated that she needed a job. She had graduated but had not served her fatherland yet, so she needed a job to keep her soul, her body together, she stated in that tweet. After she posted that tweet, she got an offer from a so-called company that needed a secretary. It was said to be a firm that needed a secretary. The person who reached out to her to make the job offer, she had contacted him and he had asked her if she could come over for a job interview. That she agreed. So on the 29th of April 2021, this young lady known as Inobo Umboren was all set to go and try her luck for a job interview. But she did not do that without speaking to her friend, who was at the time in Lagos. Distance did not and could not stop her from communicating details of her movement that day to her friend, even though she had also informed her family members about the interview. But she had detailed everything to her friend, known as Uduak Umor, who was in Lagos at the time. But they had an extensive chat that morning, during which Inyobon told Uduak that she was going to give a trial at the job offer that was made to her by going for the interview that morning. She gave her details of the phone number of the man who had spoken with her, inviting her for the interview. She gave her details of the description provided for her by the man on how to get to the place for the interview. She gave so much details as the junction where she was to stop at before proceeding to the venue of the interview. Now, her friend was really excited for her, and they were to keep in touch. Now, while the duo were chatting, Uduak asked Inyobong to keep her location on while going for the interview, and Inyobong replied Uduak by saying her location was always on. Nice thing. Well, they had a good chat that morning, and Inyobong afterwards proceeded for her interview. While she was still on the journey to the airport road for that interview, Uduak, her friend, still checked on her to know if she had arrived, but then she updated Uduak to say she was still on her way. As a matter of fact, she stated that she was flying bike at that time. What a good friend who would keep tab on her friend to ensure that everything was going on smoothly, right? Well, hours went by, and Uduak noticed Inyobong had sent her a voice note on WhatsApp, but it was a 1-second voice note. Could this have been a mistake? She wondered. She picked her phone and called Inyobong. But Uduak was shocked to have heard Inyobong screaming on the background. Now that arose so much fear in Uduak. What could be happening to my friend, she thought. Uduak was in Lagos at the time. How could she possibly help her friend who had gone for an interview somewhere at the airport road in Uyo? I mean, the distance from Lagos to Uyo. How could she do that? Now, Uduak quickly thought of a way to seek for help, and she went on Twitter and tweeted that her friend was in trouble and her friend needed help. She also disclosed that she was in Lagos at the time and there was no way she could help her friend. She pleaded with those who could assist in any way to help her save her friend. She also narrated the situation and how she had received a voice note from her friend for 1 second, called her back and heard her screaming. So she suspected that her friend was in danger. Trust the Twitter folks. They began to respond. People began to ask for details of the company or organization that Inyobong had gone to have an interview with, and people began to make comments on how there was no company or any organization around the airport road. And the next thing, people began to ask for her phone number so they could track her phone. And then some intelligent people also began to ask for details of the person who had invited her for the interview. Now, luckily, Inyobong had provided those details to her friend Uduak prior her leaving for the interview. So it came in handy for Uduak. She provided those details on Twitter, and guys, random people on Twitter got to work. Young people, the Gen Z, the generation said to be the phone pressing generation, they got to work and they began to track both Inyobong's phone number as well as the phone number of the person who had invited her for the interview. While all of those investigation was going on Twitter and other means, the Nigerian police in Akwa Ibom were also notified, and they had begun investigation on the matter. Details on Twitter reveal that the person who had invited Inyobong for the interview is a young man called Uduak Frank Akpan. The moment his pictures began to float on the internet, many other people began to share their experiences and ordeals in the hands of Uduak Frank Akpan. It turned out this young man is a serial rapist, one who feigns job into vacancies and then lures unsuspecting job seekers to his father's house where he was living in Uyo. There he ends up raping them. He was said to have specifically targeted young women who were in need of jobs or in search of jobs. So he pretends to have job offers for them. He lures them and ends up raping them. Many of those women never got to speak out because of the shame, the fear of stigma, and all that could come with that. The Twitter space was on fire with people calling for arrest and prosecution of Uduak Frank Akpan. All over the internet was the hashtag justice for Ini, justice for Iniobong Umoren, justice, justice, justice. People were crying for justice. It was a unified cry for justice. That cause had no face, no tribe, no religion. It was a unified fight and cause crying for justice for Iniobong Umoren, a young graduate whose only crime was seeking to better herself through legitimate means by working and earning a living. That was her only crime. The police in Uyo haven't gotten details, so much confirmations from different Twitter users on the same identity of suspect. They swung into action. Uduak Frank Akpan was arrested alongside his father, Mr. Akpan, who was 64 years old at the time. On the 2nd of May 2021, news broke on Twitter by Iniobong's friend Uduak, who tweeted that her friend had been killed, sadly, and buried in a shallow grave. It was a painful news. It was heartbreaking. So many people who did not even know Iniobong in any way, but had heard of the news of her getting missing as a result of going for an interview, many of those people prayed. Many of those people hoped and wished that she would be found alive and safe. It was really heartbreaking for so many. There were different speculations. Some were of the opinion that it was a family involvement, that it was a human organ trafficking syndicate. There were different speculations from different quarters and all of those. But the police was going to lay all that to rest by coming with the truth of what actually happened. When the police took Uduak Frank Akpan into their custody, they began to interrogate him. And during interrogation, Uduak Frank Akpan confessed to the police that he indeed advertised a job offer to Iniobong Umoren. And he lured her to come for an interview, knowing fully well that there was no job. Therefore, there was no need for an interview. When Iniobong arrived, he claimed he'd opened up to her that there was no job and that he then demanded to have sex with her, which according to him, she agreed, but demanded that he should use protection. He claimed that when he brought out the condom to use, Iniobong became furious and picked up the stabilizer, talking of pressing iron, and hit him with it, and also beat his ring finger. Those he claimed he was upset because he was bleeding. He grabbed the stabilizer from her and used it to hit her. She fell and started bleeding too. So he claimed she eventually died, and he dug a shallow grave there in his father's compound, and he buried her. After Uduak Frank Akpan had confessed what he did to the police, he led a team of police officers to his father's compound, where he showed them the shallow grave, and they exhumed Inyobon's body and took it to University of Uyo Teaching Hospital for autopsy. The moment Inyobon's family, who had been waiting at the police headquarters in Uyo, the moment they got wind that indeed Ini had been killed and her body was exhumed and taken to University of Uyo Teaching Hospital, they went agog. They were really upset, and they questioned the police. Why would you not bring our sister's corpse to us? Why would you take her body to a hospital without any of us being involved? Shouldn't we see her body? Even if her parts are missing, let us see it. Watch the video as they reacted.
She has been taken to the hospital. When I am
who does that? Who does that? Please bring my sister. I want to see my sister's corpse. I want to see my Honorable Commissioner of Police, PPRO. We have been waiting for you since morning in this place because you asked us to wait. Up to now, we have not seen our sister's corpse. I'm taking our sister to the teaching hospital. Bring her here. I want to see my sister.
You saw how the family reacted. They were pained. But then the police then calmed them down by making them understand that they had to take the body straight to University of Uyo Teaching Hospital so they could carry out an autopsy on the body without any delay. Now, that makes a whole lot of sense. Even though the killer of Inyobon had confessed to that, there was also need to scientifically get a backup to the cause of death of Inyobon, which was going to solidify the case of the prosecution to help convict the accused in the matter. The noise on the internet was becoming louder because there were allegations that some people from some quarters, powerful forces, were making efforts to silence the case of Uduak Frank Akpan, to ensure he was not prosecuted, to ensure he was released, to ensure that justice was perverted. So the noise on the internet became louder. People were making sure that the world gets to know what was happening, what had happened, and what some people were trying to do to prevent justice from taking place. And they needed to sound their warnings loud and clear. The Nigerian police was not spared. The Nigerian police received constant warnings from different social media platforms from ordinary Nigerians who kept calling on the Nigerian police to do the right thing, to ensure that justice is served and seen to be served. When you have such multiple calls for you to do the right thing, especially when those calls are coming from a multitude of Gen Zs, the Sorosoke generation, you would have no choice but to do the right thing. Now, that was the situation at the time of people from different quarters calling for justice to be served for Inyobon Umoren. Not only was she killed, she was raped before being killed by the monster in human form, who posed as one who had a job to offer. Little did Inyobon know at the time that it was death that was being offered to her in disguise. After the police had concluded their investigation and were convinced that it was right to charge Uduak to court, they charged Uduak Frank Akpan alongside his father, Mr. Frank Akpan, and his sister, Anwan Bassi. The three of them were charged. While Uduak was charged for rape and murder, his father and sister were charged for accessory after the fact. Their trial commenced before an Akwa Ibom State High Court sitting in Uyo, presided over by Justice Ekan Mbasi, and their trial went on for 9 months. During the trial, the prosecution called several witnesses who testified, and the defense also called a few witnesses. And judgment was finally set to be delivered on the 4th of August 2022. It was finally the day everyone had been waiting for. So on the 4th of August 2022, everyone had converged in the courtroom waiting to hear the judgment that will be delivered by Justice Ekanen. So in a judgment that lasted for almost 2 hours, Justice Ekanen revealed that the prosecution had done a very good job to prove beyond all reasonable doubt that indeed Uduak Frank Akpan committed rape and also murder of Iniobong Umoren on the 29th of April 2021, right in his father's compound in Uyo at the airport road in Uyo. Justice Ekanen stated that Uduak Frank Akpan was found guilty of rape and was therefore sentenced to life imprisonment. And he was also found guilty of murder of Iniobong Umoren and was therefore sentenced to death by hanging by the neck until he rots away. Now, delivering judgment on the second and third defendant, being Uduak's father, Mr. Frank Akpan, and his sister Anwon Basi, Justice Ekanen stated that the prosecution failed to prove beyond all reasonable doubt that the second and third defendant were in any way involved either before or after the commission of any of those crimes. The duo were therefore discharged and acquitted of all the charges related to them. It was a huge relief. It was all celebrations from different quarters of the state and beyond the state, all over Nigeria. People were excited that justice was served at last. We cannot conclude this video today without a special shout out to Umo Uduak, Iniobong's friend, who took to Twitter to cry out for people to save her friend. She did that the very moment she sensed there was danger around her friend. I mean, having such people in your life is a huge blessing that should not be traded, a huge blessing that should not be taken for granted. Sometimes we have people that should be considered precious gifts and treated as such. I mean, if that lady did not act timely, if she did not cry out on the right platform, because the platform also matters, if she didn't cry out on the right platform, we have no idea what would have been the fate of Iniobong's story. She probably would not have been, her body would probably not have been discovered. It would have just been like many other stories of young people, young girls who just got missing and no one ever got to hear about them again or even find anything about their bodies, if at all they were killed. But this young lady sensed there was danger about her friend and she acted immediately. Thank you, Umo. We pray that you would not encounter any evil as you go about your daily endeavor. As you were able to cry out for your friend, be there for her, you would also have people who will be there for you when you need them. I will still remind you again, it's a cold world out there, guys. Take care of yourself. Take care of your emotions. Take care of your mental health. Be kind to yourself. Be kind to the people around you. And always, always stay safe. I remain Dorcas Ige Olokun. and I love you.